Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off, after completing the Brutal Collection achievement, by skulljacking an Advent Trooper we unlocked this rather elusive achievement, and at this point I also think that we are slowly but steadily nearing the end of the series. We do have two more pretty interesting achievements still left to unlock that might require a bit of a setup. The first is beating a mission with soldiers that are all of the same class. At the moment I'm leaning towards Grenadiers or Rangers. The other is beating a mission with a squad consisting of all rookies, and while that is definitely doable, this late in the game it might get a bit tricky. These are obviously not the only two achievements we still have left to unlock. I believe at the moment there are about 10 or so remaining. These two, however, might require a bit more preparation. With that being said, should the right situation present itself, we might just go after one of them here today, but to find out whether or not that's the case, we have to start scanning. A rumor reducing region contact cost, meanwhile, is absolutely worthless.
Avenger plotting new course.
So our first journey today takes us back to the black market, where we are now going to purchase some Illyrium, something that we honestly should have done already in the last episode. This is going to cost us a bit more intel, but as a result of our last mission we have acquired some more, so we can easily spare the cost of 45 intel here. In addition, we are also going to acquire even more shortly, as we already have an active rumor where we can now continue to scan. In about a day or so, we will then also finish the Archon King Autopsy, third and last of the alien rulers, and part of the reason why we just purchased that Illyrium in the first place.
These findings will likely prove crucial to our ongoing efforts, Commander. I have come to firmly believe that Dr. Vahlen's unbridled ambition, left without the Commander to maintain some semblance of reason, led her to pursue a path of research that was as misguided and regrettable as my own service to Advent.
So indeed, Dr. Vahlen straying off the path somewhat with her research into these alien rulers. In the end though, we still somehow benefit from it, this time by unlocking the Icarus armor, mentioned here to feature unique jet propulsion systems, definitely something we want to acquire as soon as we can. After receiving a late notification about the sword damage increase, we then also learn that the Plasma Lance project is currently inspired, and even though this only saves us 2 days, we will need to research this eventually, so we might as well do it now. It does have some benefits even outside of our sharpshooters.
I foresee a number of valuable applications stemming from this technology. I'll have a report assembled as soon as the research is complete.
And with a new research project underway, let's hop back into the world map and let's keep scanning. Up next then, we will hopefully acquire a brand new weapon. And indeed, we get lucky and receive the fourth and final experimental powered weapon, the Shredstorm Cannon. This one obviously upgrading the Shredder Gun, and together with the Blaster Launcher, Plasma Blaster and Hellfire Projector now completing the set. That also means that we have capacity for new projects in the Proving Ground, although the next one here will be completed instantly. Let's now grab the Icarus armor. So once again, this is an armor suit that allows us to fly. Very, very useful, apart from a few missions where the map doesn't really allow for that. And it also marks the point where we are not really going to keep pumping out stuff in the Proving Ground. At this point, we have everything we need to complete all remaining achievements. So at least for the moment, let's give our engineers some rest.
We're getting an emergency signal from our people deployed with the Resistance. There was an ambush during the latest action. Firebrand is en route to their position now.
Okay, it looks like our latest covert action to unlock the assassin's hideout ends with an ambush. Let's see what we're dealing with.
Did you honestly let you operate in the shadows, while I still move among the living?
Alright, so we will be facing a Muton, a Shield Bearer, and annoyingly an Andromedon on this map, not to mention the Lost. On top of it all, we are also only bringing 2 of our own soldiers, including Lunar Radonis, a Sharpshooter who is definitely at the lower end of our roster, so I am eager to see how this one will go.
You've got no time to waste. Break cover and move to the extraction point on the double.
Alright, here we are, extraction point far ahead of us, and one thing we do have going for us is Ranger Louis Mignot, who thanks to his phantom ability starts the mission off in concealment. As such, he can scout ahead and immediately secure the high ground, and upon discovering that no enemies are near, Lunar Radonis can follow suit.
Grade 1, your team is compromised. We're picking up Advent response forces inbound on your position.
Right, so not entirely unexpected, we have enemy reinforcements coming in. And this is where concealment actually works against us, because as long as Ranger Mig is concealed, he will not shoot any reaction shots. In other words, we will have to break concealment to get the most out of this. So we are going to put him right next to the drop zone. This should hopefully ensure that he gets detected and thus allow him to fire an Overwatch reaction shot.
Heading out.
Bien reçu.
Scanning.
J'ouvre grand les yeux.
Our enemies then an Advent officer and 2 troopers. For these types of ambush missions, that is usually what you are facing.
On a une escouade ennemie par là. Je me suis fait remarquer. Là, c'est sûr, j'ai eu la cible.
Alright, so far so good, our Overwatch is working to perfection. The officer is down, leaving only the 2 troopers standing. And against these 2, we are now making use of the fact that our Ranger has the untouchable ability, so should he score the kill on this turn, which is pretty likely, then he will be bulletproof for the next attack. And indeed, that's the kill, so let's make sure that Radonis does not get targeted.
Moving to position.
We can simply hunker down with him to end our turn.
Holding position.
Je suis sous le feu ennemi.
And there we go, Mig remains unharmed and we are down to a single target, and we should hopefully be able to handle this one the same way we did the other trooper.
Y'a quoi par là? Voilà. Je vais manquer de munitions.
So that would be the reinforcements taken care of. That still leaves the 3 enemies mentioned in the mission briefing, and because of that we are also not going to move up any further. Let's finish the turn on Overwatch.
On your order. On Overwatch.
At this point then we are informed about our first Lost Swarm coming in, reason enough to reload and stay put for one more turn.
En vigilance. Got it covered.
La cible est morte. C'est obligé.
Right, so despite the range, Mig gets to fire a single shot, that one misses, but stock damage ensures that we still get the kill. And well, I suppose the Lost are only going to come closer, so we might as well wait for them here.
Scan en cours.
Overwatch.
Du mouvement, attention. Faites gaffe avant de vous approcher.
X-ray neutralized.
Okay, 2 more dead, that leaves 2 more remaining. Unfortunately, Sharpshooter Radonis does not have line of sight, but they are far enough away so that we can risk taking a few 70-ish percenters with Mig.
J'ai tué un ennemi là.
And that would be this first Lost Swarm cleared. At this point we can now reload, reconceal and keep scouting. Thanks to Implacable we even have 2 moves left to make.
J'y vais.
but we are only going to use the one to not leave Radonis too far behind, who now remains on the high ground to keep watch.
Come get some!
Vigilance.
The enemy turn then does not bring any nasty surprises, so we can keep scouting, and that reveals the first scheduled enemy of the mission, an Andromedon. Now, with only 2 soldiers, this will be a tough nut to crack. I'm hoping that we will be able to use concealment and squad sight to our advantage, and who knows, maybe we even get some more Lost to help us out. Either way, for now, the sensible thing to do is to keep overwatching.
I'm on it!
And indeed, another Lost swarm is set to appear, possibly a bit further down than the first one, and that might coincide nicely with the Andromedon's placement. So let's pull our ranger back a bit just to stay safe, and then we overwatch.
Moving to Overwatch. Terminated.
So here's the swarm already reduced to 4 members. The Andromedon meanwhile has not yet come into range. However, at this point Lost and Andromedon will most likely target each other, so there is absolutely no reason whatsoever to not keep overwatching.
Covering now.
Je suis dessus. Mouvement ennemi droit devant.
This time then, Radonis' reaction shot does go against the Andromedon. Interestingly enough though, our enemy does not actually decide to attack any of the Lost, who themselves also display a bit of a weird behavior here, with half of the group still rushing towards us despite an enemy much closer. At this point though, they are in striking range and Radonis' first few reloads are free, so let's quickly eliminate them before they get too close.
Hostile target down.
Once again, this should leave 2 Lost remaining in the swarm of 5. And indeed, after moving our ranger up a bit, we can spot one of them. So let's remain here and wait. They should do a bit of work for us.
Got it covered.
Right, so much for receiving help from the Lost. Unfortunately, the Andromedon went first and takes one of them out. The other then misses its strike, and with that its fate should be sealed too. No need for us to interfere any further at this point.
Scanning.
Je reste en observation.
So, with the Andromedon not needing to move, a squad-side overwatch shot also did not trigger. However, we do have our 3rd Lost swarm already coming in on the next turn, and so we will simply stay on overwatch.
Affirmatif.
I'm
Je
on it.
couvre la zone.
And there we go, and that's what I wanted to see. That, however, not so much, but with our ranger still hidden, the Andromedon should not have a target just yet. And just like that, another swarm arrives, and I'm pretty sure that if we do not reveal ourselves too close to the Andromedon, then it should pick off these guys first. Nonetheless, it is going to decimate them pretty quickly, and with 4 points of armor, they are not going to do much damage. So at this point, we need to do what we can to take it out ourselves, and that includes not skipping a 100%er.
Armor still holding.
Alright, critical hit, that gives us a lovely amount of damage. Meanwhile, Ranger Mick does not really have any other options but to go on Overwatch, otherwise he would reveal himself. The Andromedon then misses and Mick takes a curious reaction shot. You'll see why in just a second. So once again, one of the Lost hell-bent on ignoring the Andromedon, in this case sadly revealing our ranger with no more ways to reconceal him. So at this point I think it's time that we go on the offensive. Thanks to the Lost, the Andromedon has taken a few more points of damage, and Mig has a 98% chance to land the shot. Either way, it's a guaranteed kill thanks to the stock, and that's exactly what we need. Now, the critical hit here triggers Implacable as well as, very importantly, Untouchable, which allows us to move in a little closer and engage the rest of the enemies. And despite the fact that we only have 2 more shots of ammunition left, let's quickly eliminate 2 more Lost. And because Lost kills do not cost an action, we can now reload and keep firing. And only at this point will we take aim at the Andromedon. A critical hit would be nice, but it's not necessary. Alright, critical hit for the kill, and the Andromedon also drops some loot. Keep in mind that Mig is still untouchable, so we don't need to risk anything by going for Deadeye with Radonis here. Instead, let's simply take the regular shot for guaranteed damage. As expected then, the Andromedon's fist strike misses, but unfortunately sets the nearby truck on fire. So let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone, grab the loot and move out of the explosion range.
Okay, je vous fais confiance.
We recover 2 Illyrium cores and a superior hair trigger. And at this point, killing the Andromedon with 2 soldiers should not be too difficult. And with a mixed shot connecting for 10 points of damage, the kill for Radonis here is guaranteed, and with that we defeat the toughest enemy of this mission.
Target eliminated.
This even triggers death from above, giving our Sharpshooter another action, so after another free reload he can finally move up a bit. The truck explosion then will bring another Lost swarm our way on the next turn, reason enough to send Radonis back up onto the high ground, while Ranger Mig retreats a bit too.
Bon, si c'est comme ça. Vigilance, come get some.
The swarm then appears a bit further to the back in one of the buildings, and as far as I can tell, exits out of this building in our direction are somewhat limited. I think we have at least 1 or 2 turns here until the Lost get into striking range, so let's let them come and perhaps pick a few of them off along the way.
Reste en observation.
Covering now.
Hein?
Okay, it is indeed as I had expected, not a single Lost comes into range, so perhaps we should give them 1 more turn.
Affirmatif,
On
je couvre
Overwatch.
la zone. Il y a du mouvement là-bas.
Okay, still nothing. That is indeed a bit weird. At this point I get the suspicion that perhaps the Lost have run into another enemy, especially since scouting ahead with our ranger here only reveals a single one of them, admittedly one that we can take out entirely risk-free, thanks to it only having 3 hit points. That's all we can see though, and I do not dare move up much further,
Je passe en vigilance.
so another round of Overwatches it is. Once again then, no enemies show themselves on the Lost turn, which is curious to say the least. Moving around a bit with our ranger then at least reveals another single target, but at 4 hit points here I don't want to waste the action. After all, Mig only has an advanced stock equipped.
Viens par là.
Moving to Overwatch.
Faites gaffe avant de vous approcher.
Okay, so now we are in a bit of an interesting situation. We have a Lost swarm with 3 active members still somewhere on the map, and on the next turn we will receive 5 extra lost on top of that. That means the best course of action here in my opinion is once again to lay low.
Away.
And yes, I have a feeling that this mission could take a while.
Tout de suite, come get some.
So here's the swarm then, this one however much more easily accessible. Mig also already got lucky with his target for the first shot, another lost with only 3 hit points, so despite the miss we got the kill.
Okay, je vous fais confiance.
At this point then we can move him into a slightly better position, which also enables line of sight for Radonis, which we do in fact need because Mig does not have enough ammunition to kill all 4 enemies.
X-ray neutralized.
So we give 2 kills to our Sharpshooter and then the other 2 to our Ranger, just to keep things nice and balanced.
La cible est morte. C'est obligé. J'aurai bientôt plus de munitions. En avant le massacre.
With all enemies cleared out, we can then reload and also send up our Sharpshooter once more. Let's see if this turn reveals those 3 remaining lost. And well, as you can see, it does not, but we don't have to go scouting ahead blindly just yet. After all, Ranger Mig is carrying 2 battle scanners, so let's throw one of them into the building ahead of us to see what we might find inside. Okay, so as you can see, this does not reveal a whole lot. Nonetheless, if there were any enemies inside, it would have spotted them.
Scanning.
Once again then, the 3 remaining lost are truly lost somewhere on the map.
Si c'est comme ça.
So at this point we are starting to advance, slowly but steadily. Luckily this mission does not have a timer.
Reste en observation. Du mouvement, attention.
Okay, so at this point we at least hear some enemy movement, but once again do not spot anyone. Keep in mind that we might also still have 2 alien units somewhere on the map, a Muton and an elite shield bearer.
Ça devrait pouvoir se faire.
If the Lost were in fact engaged with one of them, then I believe we should have heard something by now.
Hostiles on the move.
And there we go, finally we spot something, and it is in fact the shield bearer.
C'est son blindage qui a pris. Force d'advance sur le champ de bataille.
The Lost turn meanwhile remains uneventful, apart from the fact that we have yet another swarm incoming. The shield bearer meanwhile should be an easy target if we activate a run and gun with Ranger Mig. As you can see here, with a minimum of 10 points of damage, the kill is guaranteed, and so will be implacable and untouchable. So even if we had stumbled upon a few more Lost by making this daring move, then Mig would have been safe, at least from one of them.
Okay, je vous fais confiance.
Now he can pull back and Radonis can move up, and with that we end our turn.
Overwatch. It's still moving.
So another Lost swarm appears, the 3 from the old one meanwhile still mysteriously missing. Missing just like Radonis just did with a shot from the Shadowkeeper pistol. I don't think I have mentioned yet that he's using that one. Either way, to avoid having to move in closer with our Ranger, we will now start shooting with Radonis. He should be able to get at least 3 kills.
Target neutralized.
And now we can reload, those are unfortunately no longer free. And finally, let's take a shot with the Shadowkeeper here to do at least a bit more damage. And with the shot connecting, the kill for Mig is guaranteed, and that eliminates lost number 4 or 5.
Là, c'est sûr, j'ai eu la cible.
And with that, we can now finish our turn once again on Overwatch.
Viens par là.
Alright then, lost number 5 gets closer, but Mig eliminates it before it can do damage. And with that, we now only need to cross the building here to get to the evac zone, something that we will once again do slowly and very carefully. No further enemies incoming then, so let's continue. Square by square, we are getting closer to the exit.
Overwatch. You hear that?
Once again then, we hear movement in the distance, but it's not the muton that we are still missing. Instead, those 3 missing Lost finally show themselves.
X-ray neutralized. Faites gaffe avant de vous approcher.
Following our reaction shots, however, only 1 Lost remains, but that one is good enough, as it now allows Radonis to use Shadowfall for a guaranteed kill that will also give him concealment.
Target eliminated.
Now, we won't be able to use the concealment on this turn. Still, with that last muton still roaming around somewhere, it might come in handy. For the time being, though, we'll simply stay put.
Je passe en vigilance.
And it also seems to me like we will have to fight another Lost Swarm before we make our way out of here. Speaking of which, let's see if our path towards the evac zone is clear. And, well, that does seem to be the case, so we can move up just a little bit further, before we then follow suit with Mig and once again go on Overwatch. And there we go, we have found our final alien enemy. Let's see what Mig can do.
Allez, on se reprend. They've got eyes on me.
Alright, so the muton moving in then unfortunately breaks Radonis' concealment, but we would have needed him to break that on the next turn anyway, so we are not really losing much here. The final swarm of Lost then also makes its appearance, and with that our task is clear. We need to take out all of these enemies here, and then it's time to finally escape. And to be honest, even with only 2 soldiers, this shouldn't be too difficult. So let's begin with a pistol shot for an easy guaranteed kill. Then we take 2 sniper rifle shots to clear out the remaining Lost that Radonis can currently see. Then we move into a flanking position against the muton, which gives us easy pistol kills against the remaining 2 Lost. And then we can move up close and personal with Ranger Mig to maybe land the killing blow, or to give it to Radonis afterwards.
Là, c'est sûr, j'ai eu la cible.
It seems though as if our Ranger wanted this one all for himself, which is great because it now leaves both of them with a single action point to spend on movement, enough to get them into the evac zone, escape and finally finish the mission.
On met les voiles.
All members of Wraith 1 have been successfully evac'd.
Alright, against all odds and 42 enemies, it was a flawless mission. It only took us 33 turns. I'm not quite sure actually if we ever had a mission that took longer. Either way, I think it was a perfect showcase of 2 classes that work extremely well with each other. So let's send our 2 heroes back to the base. Who knows, we might even have a promotion waiting for one of them.
The aliens sure know how to turn a planet into a Halloween theme park. Zombie swarms. Just what we needed.
Yeah, Lily there a little bit late to the party with that observation. Either way, no promotions yet, but also, despite 42 enemies, both guys here not tired yet, and we even recovered some useful loot.
I'm glad to see our joint effort paid off like we hoped.
And indeed, this now ends the covert action, and this now gives Radonis the promotion we were waiting for. Not to mention that we are one step closer to taking out the assassin.
We picked up some new information on the Chosen during our last covert action.
The Resistance found a way into the Chosen stronghold, Commander. Our troops are ready to deploy. We should launch a strike as soon as possible.
So, yes indeed, the third and final Chosen Stronghold mission has just become available. At this point, we can already take a brief look at the enemies that are waiting for us, but for the moment, let's first take a closer look at our next covert action, and we obviously also want to level up Radonis afterwards.
Word is we've got a new trick or two available, Commander. Maybe we should give them a try.
So, brand new list of covert actions here. We have not actually taken a look at any of these yet. Since we are firmly in the endgame though, not all of them really give us anything we need at this point. Nonetheless, I am seeing a few that would reward us with promotions, and I think we are going with this one right here. Acquiring another scientist, never a bad idea. After all, we still have plenty of research still left to perform. The promotion, meanwhile, will go to Grenadier Twitchy, who embarks on this mission alongside Bondmate Schwaminian, not necessarily because of the time we save with it, but because Schwaminian is very close to a promotion himself, and maybe this covert action here is enough to tip him over the edge. Despite its rarity, we are also assigning some Illyrium for this mission just to keep them both safe. Twitchy in particular could be part of that Grenadier-only squad that we might still want to field, so let's not risk having her sidelined.
My kind will do whatever is needed.
So, with that underway then, one final thing to take care of before we make the cut in today's episode. Let us now promote Sharpshooter Luna Radonis, and so far we have been pursuing a pure sniper build with him, so I think the choice here is an easy one in favor of Killzone. Yes, especially with the Dark Claw, face-off can be ridiculously powerful, but I think some variety in our sharpshooters can't hurt, and so far Radonis has not yet disappointed us. With that, however, I think we have reached a good point to wrap up today's episode. Yes, it was only an extraction mission that earned us no achievements, but it definitely was one of the more intense and tricky ones that we've had over this series. Not to mention that it has also unlocked us another major mission with the Assassin's Stronghold, a mission that we might just tackle as early as the next episode. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up, and if you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.